In this video, we cover one of the most critical underpinnings of today's social, cultural, and political sexual environment, the sheer fact that it is primarily biologically driven. Based on that, we are going to be incredibly hard-pressed to do anything to resist it. But interestingly enough, we are designed and evolved to do just that, but it took a tremendous amount of rational thinking and behavior to overcome. But today, let's talk biology. You are the result of billions of years of evolutionary success, in massive part due to the fact that you're hardwired biologically to succeed. The great news is that on a biological level, we just have to get out of our own way, embrace our biological nature, and let life happen. When we do, we will have fulfilled our part in keeping our species alive and project our unique genetic sequencing into the future. It is so simple. A moron could do it. In fact, they do. In all actuality, individuals who have less mental capability than a moron have successfully been able to complete this critical life circuit, and our species has continued because of it. Yes, I'm looking at you, Neanderthals. We stand, evolutionarily speaking, not on the shoulders of giants, but on individuals with remarkably small cranial capacities. I'm taking the point of view that doesn't look down our immediately family tree, but along the depth of it as well past human recorded history and into non-recorded history, beyond archaic humans and deeper into our humanoid past Homo erectus, past Homo habilis, deeper than A. africanus and A. afarensis. For all those individuals' merits to which we owe our existence, they had remarkably small brains, but were genetically successful. They are what we call a Darwinian success, as their children had children of their own. The reality is we don't need large brains to survive, but we need to tap into and utilize our primal brains that we're already sporting. Of course, if it was that easy, our discussion would be coming to a quick conclusion. I'd say go forth and behave in a primal fashion, and all would be well in the world. Our primal brain consists of the upper root of the spinal cord, the brainstem, and parts of the midbrain called the limbic system that support a variety of functions associated with housing our emotional life and the formation and storage of our memories. These are the areas of the brain responsible for our early evolutionary success, in what Darwin was to go on to describe as the basic mechanism in evolution associated with natural selection. It is responsible for the functions associated with survival, provision, and seduction. This primal brain developed much earlier, millions of years earlier, than our forebrains, which is responsible for the rational and cognizant thought. It is important to recognize that primal brain is not a center for learning or thinking. It is highly emotional in nature. It is reactionary by nature. It is also an all or nothing type of response. At our basic level, we are not rational beings, but highly emotional and reactionary ones. The most common example of this is survival mode within the limbic system associated with fight or flight. When you're in limbic or primal brain mode, there is no gray area, this way or that way. You're all in. It is either this or it is that. Furthermore, the limbic primal brain activity shuts down your higher brain functions, the neocortex, those areas associated with reasoning and thinking and decision making. The limbic system doesn't want you to think. It wants you to act, and act now, to the exclusion of everything else and everyone else. Our primal brain has evolved to secure the first order of existence, that is to survive and then to reproduce. Our primal brains, which serve as the foundation of all human behavior, our biological imperative, is guiding us to continually to protect ourselves, to provide for ourselves, and then to procreate. As the foundation of human behavior, it also serves as a primary driver for the sexual marketplace. That is to say, the primary basis of the human sexual marketplace is emotionally reactionary and is free of rational thought or thinking. which starts to explain a great number of things. That attraction and desire cannot be negotiated, and that attraction and desire therefore are not a choice, but a biological reaction with absolute certainties in the decision-making process, the limbic decision-making process. When we attempt to negotiate attraction and desire, we are fighting nature and our base primal self and our base primal interests. As such, we need to face the reality that attraction isn't a choice, and attraction simply cannot be negotiated at a primal level. The primal brain does more than create response reaction mechanisms to compel us into action. It is also a signaling center to help promote decision-making along certain lines by releasing chemicals and hormones in response to environmental stimulus or to aid in biomechanical requirements of the body. In part, it helps control effects on the body such as metabolism, the immune system, circadian rhythms, growth stimulation, hunger cravings, etc. This is all great stuff, but what we're really interested in are the parts that play an active role in a reproductive cycle: sex, the memory response mechanisms that shape our decision making, and the nature of the sexual marketplace. It should come as no surprise that hormonal signaling in puberty leads to the development of children into adolescence, as well as the development of secondary sex traits such as beards and breasts. The importance of which isn't just to note that signaling occurs and their results, but that they are natural and primal functions. Puberty and adolescence is not just a physical transformation process, but one that has many psychological and emotional transformations as well, often results of which dictate our sense of self, our perceptions of the world, and what we can expect from it. Our real sense of our body image begins here. We become acutely aware of the changes taking place, not only physically, but socially, as gender roles start taking a more pronounced tone and the structure of many of our relationships often change. The timing of these changes in relation to our peer groups also plays a significant factor, as early maturing boys are seen and received in a more positive way, whereas early developing girls experience significantly more social problems associated with sexual activity, drinking, smoking, drug use, depression, eating disorders, as they struggle for a sense of self-identity and independence. At the end of the adolescent stage, we will have either developed a positive and healthy sense of ourselves or be confused, having misgivings and unresolved questions regarding our identity, our role, and place within the culture upon which we will be entering. It is at the end of adolescence that we will fully enter into the sexual marketplace as adults, and with it, we will be carrying all the emotional baggage from our childhood and prepubescent years with us into it. Likewise, genes and hormones actively influence the expression of many of our social behaviors, conduct, and interactions with individuals, groups, or within society as a whole, and within our reactions to them. This is the genetic inheritance that serves as innate qualities and social instincts for the individual, our socialization. They help formulate the critical elements of motivation and emotion central to human behaviors, such as fear, sadness, happiness, anger, and disgust that promote and guide our basic behaviors. Hormones play a central role in our reward-based response system of motivation and memory formalization of those experiences. Because sexual reproduction is essential to the survival of the species, genetic coding and hormonal motivation sequences play an enormous factor in human behaviors that give shape and context to today's sexual marketplace. Mating preferences, reproduction strategies, parental investment, and social constructs of cooperative behavior are but a few. On an individual level, they influence our physiology for lust, attraction, and attachment, all of which play a central role in our lives. When these hormones and neurological transmitters are triggered by the body, we can interpret those sensations as love and formulate attachment bonds because of those feelings, even if the subject and nature of those bonds are unhealthy and a poor rational choice. Our primal brain circumvents the rational process to promote a short-term genetic objective. When we lose the capacity to control these impulses, we are subject to the whims of a biological compulsion, and we reap the ramifications.